which will be part of this debate, Mr. Frederico, which is the business superintendent for the International Conference, CNI, and representative of the Amazon Institute 21, which will be represented remotely. At this moment, we will start the works with Ignacio, moderator of the panel. Good morning. Today we're going to speak 3 languages: English, Portuguese, and Porto-Spanish, which is a very well-known language in the region. Good morning to everybody. It's a great pleasure to be part of this panel. I think it's going to add on yesterday and what we're going to have in this. The idea is to be able to have and discuss all the issues of the Amazon and the opportunities as well that the Amazon has. And today we would like to present how the international community, with 2 colleagues, which will have the possibility to present what their countries are doing here and what we really want to do to be able to support the Amazon efforts related to the projects in favor of the Amazon and also the private sector. Our countries as well is a very good partner. Today we're going to have the ambassador of Norway and the ambassador Fernando from Spain. As we have said, Frederico together with us is going to be here in the screen, which is one of the type of relationship that definitely will allow us to have more people inside this station. The idea today is to listen to the ambassadors and the private sector with all the ideas and the qualifications and capacities they have to contribute, with a very clear idea for us and the international community as a whole. I can speak on behalf of them. It's a great challenge that the climate changes and the biodiversity are global challenges. Nobody, it's like we speak with COVID, we need to be together, working together. And the idea for the international community and these members, which are associated like Norway, to share our culture and help the same direction. So I'm going to start directly. It's very important. I'm going to speak much less, only after the questions. I'm going to make a quick introduction of our speakers, and then they will be introducing themselves, and then we'll have a certain time for questions, answers, and all this event is the most interesting part, which gives the opportunity to all of you who are here in this very beautiful city, Belém, in the state of Pará. So we'll have the possibility to make all the questions that you consider are relevant. The first speaker is a good friend of mine, the ambassador from Norway. He has arrived recently here in Brazil, but he's already worked intensively and he knows almost everything. And of course, for us, for the European Union, Norway is a country which is very close to us. It's a country associated to many positive things. I suppose that they still have some questions to be or not in the family, but definitely they're part of our family, the European family. And also related to the weather changes and the climates, they're great leaders. The ambassador Ybánez has a huge experience. He's a career diplomat in his country. He has also worked in the private sector, which is a very enriching part of the work. He has worked in all the embassies that are very relevant, like the Washington Embassy, Beijing Embassy, and also very important roles in his ministry. He has been the head of mining in OSIC, which is an organization inside the European Union. He has been the vice director for the development ministry of his country and also head for the international affairs in the first minister, which is a huge opportunity. So this is basically the background from the private sector, which come as a senior advisor in the weather, power, food safety, in the foreign relationship in Norway. And now he's the ambassador of his country in Brazil. Magne, the floor is yours. Muito obrigado. Thank you. Obrigado, Ignacio. Foi muito boa essa apresentação. Muito obrigado pelas...
Eu falo pouco português, mas é melhor para nós todos que eu fale em inglês. Okay? Thank you all for inviting me to this important forum. I'm asked to speak about the Amazon Fund. And I would like to make 4 basic points. Firstly, that this was a Brazilian idea. Brazilian agreement, Brazilian results. Secondly, a little bit how we came to support the fund. Thirdly, that we are very proud of the results of the fund. And fourthly, and whether we can, in fact, reopen the fund. So, okay, better? Okay. Todos ganham. That is the motto of the fund. And its original rationale was similar. Brazil proposed, the world supported, and everyone benefited. The fund was proposed in 2007. And later, in 2008, it was created as a pioneering initiative to raise voluntary contributions and payments for results in Brazil's efforts to stop deforestation. The support of this idea came as a response to Brazil's willingness to tackle deforestation through science-based policies. Some things were decisive. Having a trustworthy institutions like Ybánez assigned to be the fund's manager, and having the oversight and participation of a knowledgeable civil society, including industry like CNI. All these contributed to the engagement of international donors. The fund has become a global reference point for climate biodiversity, result-based fund. It is an innovative mechanism of financial recognition and compensation for the reduction of deforestation in the legal Amazon. In June 2019, the governance of the fund were altered by the Brazilian government, affecting the approval of new projects and contributions. Since its creation in 2008, the Amazon Fund has received approximately $1 billion. And Norway remains the main donor of the fund, accounting for about 94%. Germany has about 5.6%, and Petrobras 0.5%. So, how did a faraway country like Norway come about to support the fund? So, parallel with the idea coming up here in Brazil about the fund, our Prime Minister at the time, Jens Stoltenberg, now the Secretary General of NATO, was very intrigued with the findings of Lord Nicholas Stern's report on the economics of climate change, 2006. And Stern pointed to the need to rapid and substantial emission reductions in the land use area. That was the main findings in the Stern report. Science showed that it was key to work on land use to limit temperature increase in the short run, while waiting for other sectors to up their game. The Stern report laid then foundation for Norwegian engagement at scale. At the same time, there were very much activity within Norwegian voluntary sector, and especially 2 Norwegian NGOs were involved with deforestation, understood that this was the right moment to push for a substantial pledge towards the government of Norway. And the message was that tropical forests are essential to life on the planet, guaranteeing fresh water, underpinning agricultural production, climate resilience, and pollination, among other ecosystem services. In short, tropical forests are indispensable.
Elas são responsáveis para reduzir o aquecimento global. E eles acharam que seria urgente a Noruega e outros países, junto com empresas, para apoiar a redução do desmatamento. Então, essas ideias foram discutidas em 2008. E eu falei com uma das principais pessoas dessa época, e ele se reuniu com os brasileiros em 2008, e foi aí que começaram o Fundo do Amazonas. Então, nas eleições recentes, há 2 meses atrás, lá na Noruega, todas essas questões foram um tópico muito relevante. E o novo governo já deu muita ênfase para continuar essas iniciativas do desmatamento e também para a nossa economia. Nós sabemos que nossos recursos são basicamente de petróleo, mas estamos indo para a parte verde e fazendo o melhor que podemos. Então, deixa eu falar um pouco sobre os resultados do fundo. Temos muito orgulho dos resultados que foram apresentados nos últimos 10 anos de forma ativa no fundo. E a palavra-chave é contribuição. Isso contribuiu baseado nas decisões brasileiras, políticas brasileiras feitas pela sociedade civil. E eu gostaria de destacar que nós temos muito orgulho de toda a cooperação que existe com o Brasil e os resultados com o Fundo do Amazonas. Muitos países, na verdade, hoje querem aprender e replicar esse fundo. É uma iniciativa pioneira. Eu acho que foi o primeiro tipo de iniciativa de pagamento em relação ao desmatamento. E é muito importante destacar que esses resultados são brasileiros. Isso demonstra ao mundo que um grupo de interesses engajados consegue produzir resultados. Eu gostaria de destacar uma das coisas. A bioeconomia é uma palavra que todos falam hoje. E a indústria concorda que uma floresta é muito importante para os negócios. Então tenham isso em mente. Isso não é uma opinião, isso na verdade é o que é apoiado pelos dados. Dos fundos do Amazonas, todos os projetos apoiados até 2020, mais da metade, 500 milhões de reais foram investidos em produções sustentáveis. Produções sustentáveis são bioeconomia, e a bioeconomia é uma floresta em pé. Os resultados até então, eles precisam ser replicados, escalonados, e precisam que a indústria os apoie. Talvez mais importante, eles demonstraram os benefícios e a capacidade para trazer todos esses jogadores e pessoas para promover o desenvolvimento sustentável e reduzir o desmatamento. Isso não são resultados noruegueses. Essas decisões foram tomadas baseadas em ciências e por brasileiros, baseados em políticas brasileiras também, já que isso é um fundo público. Isso precisa de responsabilidade e transparência também do nosso lado. Alguns dizem que o fundo é o mais coordenado no mundo, mas nós também concordamos que tem espaço para melhorias. Nós temos o foco também do que precisa ser melhorado, e isso também nos demonstra excelentes resultados que o fundo alcançou. E como todos vocês, nós temos os fundos para ver o trabalho que é necessário ser implementado. Dessa forma, o meu quarto ponto. E o futuro? E o futuro do fundo? Bem, vocês estão cientes que o fundo ele está sendo implementado. Tivemos alguns desacordos com os contratos, estamos dialogando para ver como podemos manter esse apoio baseado no que foi mutuamente acordado e entendido. O nosso contrato com o Brasil especifica que os dois países precisam concordar em qualquer uma das mudanças feitas no gerenciamento do fundo, tanto da Noruega quanto do Brasil. Nós temos um diálogo muito positivo com o vice-presidente Mourão e essa participação do lado mostra a importância do fundo. O envolvimento da sociedade civil no fundo é parte do que foi designado pelo Brasil e uma de muitas razões pelo qual essa proposta foi muito boa em 2008. Isso é um ponto muito relevante. Eu espero que nós conseguimos reabrir esse fundo em um futuro não distante. Para que isso aconteça, nós estamos discutindo 3 pontos. A redução substancial no desmatamento na Amazônia, baseado em um plano concreto e uma estrutura governamental que Brasil, Alemanha e a Noruega concordem. Politicamente seria muito difícil para o governo norueguês reabrir o fundo enquanto as taxas de desmatamento estão aumentando. Isso não são critérios novos ou demandas novas, mas tem elementos fundamentais para o acordo inicial brasileiro. E nós estamos prontos para cooperar no futuro com o Brasil. E eu acho que o mundo também quer muito apoiar e trabalhar junto com o Brasil nessa questão, mas precisamos ver compromisso e engajamento e a entrega de resultados concretos em relação ao desmatamento. E nós acreditamos que os fluxos financeiros continuarão vindo com esses esforços. Nós temos algumas empresas que estão investindo com países e estados para reduzir o desmatamento em uma escala e uma coalizão. Nós temos uma iniciativa dos Estados Unidos, europeias, de várias empresas. Nós temos a Amazon, é um dos contribuidores, a Delta Airlines, a Nestlé também e outras empresas grandes que já estão apoiando essa iniciativa. Então, deixa eu concluir e dizer algumas coisas sobre o resumo. Eu acredito que o Fundo da Amazônia trabalhou muito bem e já estabeleceu um exemplo para o mundo. Nós temos muito orgulho de fazer parte disso. E o Brasil também tem que ter muito orgulho no fundo, para o fundo e também ao apoio para reduzir o desmatamento. As iniciativas estão aí para o Brasil de várias formas. Eu também gostaria de dizer que o Brasil substancialmente reduziu o desmatamento antes. Isso mostrou para o mundo como isso pode ser feito. E as instituições que entregam esses resultados também conseguem fazer isso. Nós acreditamos que é possível para o Brasil utilizar o desmatamento sem impactar na agricultura, a produção e o crescimento econômico, de forma mais eficaz, mais lucrativa, para que a floresta possa ser mantida. Nós temos uma demanda rápida, crescente, para produtos sustentáveis na Europa e em outros lugares do mundo. O Brasil tem o conhecimento e as ferramentas disponíveis para garantir um share de mercado nesses mercados verdes. Transparência, rastreabilidade e também nas cadeias de fornecimento serão pontos-chave para garantir essa entrega. Dessa forma, nós vamos conseguir garantir o mercado e investimentos futuros. Muito obrigado. Eu espero que isso dê um pouquinho da visão geral do Fundo da Amazônia, como nós estamos hoje, e que nós estamos muito ansiosos para continuar a cooperação. Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado, foi uma apresentação muito boa. Quando eu estava ouvindo as condições que você tem para restabelecer o fundo, são muito parecidas também com o que nós estamos discutindo com o governo brasileiro para todos os acordos. Eu acho que o preço, na verdade, essas coisas são feitas. Dessa forma nós podemos avançar. Isso é outro elemento onde podemos mostrar toda a contribuição que temos com a Noruega. Our second point, and now I'm going back to Portuguese, is going to be a friend of mine. Together before arriving here in Brazil, and we still work together here in Brazil, is my friend Fernando. He is the ambassador of Spain. He's also a career diplomat, also has a very positive and brilliant career in Tel Aviv as an ambassador and also in Ginebra. Does a great and huge background. And he also had a certain time working in the first minister, in this case, the first minister of Spain, where he was the director of studies and international affairs for the government. And after that, we had a long experience, and that definitely has been very enriching for his current job in the cooperation. First, responsible for the communication of the secretariat, where Brazil is a partner, an essential partner for this organization. And then he worked as a director of the general secretariat between 2008 and 2010. So inside this foreign affairs and European services, a great expert in Latin America. Definitely this is very important. He has also been ambassador of Spain, and then he was the Secretariat for Cooperation. He's Vice Minister for the International Cooperation. So we do have this connection in the international cooperation, which is very relevant, as well as this relationship where, of course, there is a relationship with Brazil. And now he's the ambassador for Spain in Brazil. Fernando, you have the word. Good morning. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Ambassadors from Ireland, from all the other countries. And here, we have here also all the peers and friends. I believe I am very grateful to the ambassador and also to the Spain Chamber to be part of this initiative. The title is Amazon en Loco. It could be Amazon in movement, because one of the things that I've witnessed yesterday was the number of solutions and the will to move forward with all the changes and renovations, and Brazil being an essential partner of the Latin America region and also the international association. We as people from Spain, we are definitely part of the European Union, but we're also part of a community, as Ignacio has said. The community has said, we are the countries that speak Portuguese and Spanish from Europe and also the other sides. 19 countries from Latin America in the Iberic Peninsula. So we have 5 General Secretariat for Health, Education, Justice, Cooperation, and we also have 23 cooperation programs that are related to the future. I must say, but from the European side, it's the biggest partner for the development in the world, and also the European Union supplies the biggest number of financial resources for the climate change. Of course, together with other developed countries, we have a huge historical responsibilities due to the emissions we have made. That's why we want to contribute with this mitigation in order to improve the climate. As a Spain member, I have a very important, besides the embassy, we have 5 general consulates. We also have companies like Santander, which is the bank here, and we have other companies which are part of the daily lives of the Brazilians and concentrate 80,000 employment. We have a lot of people, and around 15,000 Brazilians have some certain Spain origin. That's why we say we are partners and friends and allies. So, talking about us in the first place, we believe that the struggle against climate change belongs to everybody, from the company, from the financial sector. And this is what we try to find in Spain as a new climate and transition change. Now, the recovery and resilience plan, we are going to dedicate 30 million euros €1 is 6.29 reais for the transition. And we have organized, we talk a lot about COP26, COP25 after Chile was organizing Spain. We believe that we have very important things. The intensive cost for efficient energy, clean mobility, renovation and recovery of the urban area like sanitation, and preservation and restoration of the system. We believe that we need a quick action and political ambition, and we need to reestablish the trust between the north and the south of the world. In order to do so, we have $100 billion donated to the less developed countries for the energy transition. We have also considered the transition and adaptation have to work together. For that fund, for the underdeveloped countries, we are going to contribute with 130 million euros until 2025, and other initiatives in the poverty reduction, and also for the poverty initiatives that we have. Those are very important things. Reducing the emissions, adapting to the climate changes, finance for the poor countries, and definitely the cooperation. Here we have a lot of studies related to the Amazon. I had the honor to sit together with Ignacio, the Vice President Mourão in the Amazon side, in Pico da Neblina and others, and also Tapajós, Belo Monte, Altamira, and so on and so forth. So when you look around all the European points and also the legal Amazon between Acre, Amapá, Maranhão, Mato Grosso, Pará, Rondônia, Roraima, Tocantins, you can see the data. 350 trillion trees, which have 80 billion and many other huge numbers for types of fauna, 1,024 types and species of trees and reptiles and many other different types of fishes. So it's a huge and complex reality. It's a reality that needs sustainability but also requires a lot of development. We also have part of the population like low development rate, and we need to do both things at the same time. A development that needs to be regenerative and not predatory, because in all this change, we have all the changes in the world have been the warmest years since we have this climate changes. And the emissions as well in carbon 2020 have been recovered to those levels close to the pandemic, to close to zero. The liquid emissions of carbon in 2050, we will need to reduce the emissions like the greenhouse effect in 1.4 billion tons per year. Of course, some of the data which are really concerning for us and all those points, we have a lot of square kilometers that have been deforested in the legal Amazon, which is one of the great primary forests in the world, together with China, Russia, Indonesia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. In October 2020, we have deforested 830 kilometers in October 2020, and this number, we also have some things that are better. We have more news. The forest code, the Brazilian forest code, is one of the strictest in the world. However, we need to fight illicit stuff so that we can have a legal economy, what we're talking about, and development of the integration of all the harvest. But we also need to fight the illicit activities, the deforestation, the fires, and the land invasion as well. It's very important, but I believe that definitely there is a will of the authorities, the local, state, and federal level authorities to do so. We have had very good news related to Brazil in COP26. Brazil has signed a global commitment related methane, and it's very important when we consider that 73% of the methane discharged in the atmosphere comes from agropecuary. So Brazil has a huge number of cattle. It's the biggest cattle in number in the world. So the production is really impressive. Can you imagine, just in the month of September 2021, we exported 212,000 tons for 1.9 euros, 1.77, much more than September 2020. So this meat goes to China, Hong Kong, Egypt, Russia, Saudi Arabia. So it's very important to keep this more sustainable. It has also been very good that Brazil, in 2014, the declaration of the forest, where we have funds and 7.2 million of private funds for the preservation of the forest. This is a national program. Then I must say that the forest can contribute to up to 30% for the mitigation targets related to the climate issues. We have other measures going to update this policy. So there are many things. There is the will to have policies planned. Impressed yesterday when profitability of could be much better, 5 times better. New boundaries. We have to agree and see traditionally what has been done with the things that are renewable. And we have good news. The environmental concern is not just a government concern, state level or federal level. It's very strong in the financial sector after we went through the power and food supply. Now, due to the funds and investments, there are many companies that have neutralized, and this is a trend now in the companies. Some of them are using internal measures, and others are buying credits, and others investing in green areas in partnerships with Santander, Itaú, and Bradesco as holding for compensation of carbon, or maybe the organizations like Brazilian companies are established here. These are very relevant things that I believe for our future is to neutralize carbon, and also the integration. Yesterday we talked about the knowledge system integration, science, technology, innovation, and also the traditional people from the forest to know how to manage the water resources, the family agriculture, and the importance of the women, and also the activities in major scale. This is essential to generate income and employment for a sustainable development, and also essential for life. Those are points important. In a recent study, 90% of the Brazilians that have been interviewed are concerned, this is very good, with the preservation of the Amazon. And people that live in the region, only 48% said that they know the forest. And those who live in other regions besides Brazil, 86% have never seen any states of the legal Amazons. Coming from a country which has tourism as an income, you can believe that the potential for the Amazon tourism and the potential for Brazil is really very expressive. And we need the international cooperation. Besides what we have been doing as members in the European Union, we have done 4 things on the last week. A webinar with the zone in Manaus to talk about bioeconomy and bio food. We are discussing the Amazon Fund in Pantanal to reduce the fires. It's the biggest private reserve that we have in the bioma, and we have an experience related to the fire due to the European summer. We also have established a Women Rural Program together with the United Nations to value the producers who generate income and equality that requires protections and rights. And then we have also presented last week in the embassy the law wood together with the federal police to reestablish the wood. The legal wood that comes out from the Amazon sometimes goes to São Paulo, but many times goes to European ports from the United States. So we need to have a technical cooperation with traceability and more data, international cooperation. And Brazil is part, together with 7 countries, with a treat for the Amazon. headquartered in Brasilia, a very nice office where they have renewed this. I think it's very important to have partnership with other countries that even though they don't speak the same language, they have very similar problems to preserve the Amazon forest, which is the biggest one in the world. And Ignacio has talked about the European agreement and Mercosur. I have the honor to be in 1995 in the headquarters of the Spanish government when they launched the negotiations for the European, that was in 1995. I believe that now we do have problems and historical opportunity to have improved this. This would be the European Association as the 5th biggest economy in the world, and the 4 countries in the Mercosur, 260 million people. This is very good to be able to see and knock down rates, more investments. This is going to generate a biggest market generation, income and better salary. This is sustainable development. So we have made a study from the Madrid University talking about Norway, statistic Norway, and we are going to see, and we have this politics, these institutions we have to do, and when we have this agreement for Mercosur, which is going to happen, the advantage for the economy improvement or the export for cattle meat, the beef, and it's going to be much better to improve the pecuary than impose barriers in the trade. Focus on food or cattle. And then we have also the enhancement of the value chains from Uruguay, certificating the origin of the inputs and consumables. So we have generated more employment and less intensity of carbon. This is sustainable? Yes, it is. There are many clauses that are related to the implementation of the Partnership for the Climate Change and also the Paris Agreement, and also the defending a responsible culture. We have the sustainable management of the forest and also the participation of the civil society in the implementation of this agreement. These are going to be implemented through a mechanism in Europe and Mercosur that we are going to implement this. Besides, we have reinforced so that we can implement this in the international for fauna and also the biodiversity, sustainable fishing, and organization of the UN for food. So I believe that this agreement is going to be a gain-gain situation. And on the other side, this is going to bring development and growth in the technology sectors. And now it's cleaner technology. This is going to bring and generate better salaries, more benefits for the companies, and also it's going to fight against disequality. This is going to reduce poverty and do this in a more sustainable manner. And of course, the commitments have to be followed by both sides. And the development is about saving lives. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fernando. Amazon in movement. I really like this idea to have this perception being close to the river, this constant movement of the river, and also for the region. For us, for the delegation of the European delegation, it's a great effort for the chambers, or Spanish and Finland chambers. This will really help in this movement. Today we have had a great possibility to know 2 specific cases for our support and the international community. But this is not the only point. We also have here with us the ambassador for Luxembourg and Belgium. We also have from Ireland, from Chile, and Paraguay as well, which is a country that you all know is a country and a partner very close to Brazil, and many other ambassadors and colleagues. And also we have Portugal. I forgot Portugal. You cannot forget Portugal here in Brazil. it's a failure that I made. But anyway, Portugal, of course, was yesterday in the session, the opening session with the secretary that made a great presentation. But we also have other colleagues and other positions and roles that are together with us today since Brasilia and other places of the country. This is the part that we wanted to present for the international community. We are really aware that we are not the only one that want to contribute with this effort. We also have the private sector from Europe that has been present in different sessions as well, and also the private Brazilian sector, which has demonstrated a very good leadership that I need to recognize. In all the discussions that we have had, we had to make presentations here in Brasilia related to the issues related to the Amazon. We have always had the support and follow-up of the private sector, and also talking about the private sector, this is a great leader in this area. I remember that some of the activities that we need to perform in Brasilia, we were very lucky to make speeches to work with Marcelo Tomé, director for the Amazon Institute for more than 21. Marcelo, he would really like to be here with us, together with us. However, since we had this event to be at the same time as the COP26 Glasgow, of course, many of them had to travel to Glasgow, which is the case for Marcelo, which is not here with us. He has sent, this is being done from this point. And of course, the superintendent for international business, CSAL, a very important institution, an economist for international affairs, University of Brasilia, with title as Masters for Financial Economy from the University of London and History from Brasilia. He is graduated in strategic negotiation and economic politics by Harvard Schools of Economics. He has worked as a strategic and planning for different public institutions in Brazil. Today, he is responsible for the international strategy for the national learning procedures for the Evaldo Lovi Institute. Frederico, you have the word. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Ambassador and friend Ignacio Ybánez from the European Union. I would also like to thank and welcome the Ambassador and friend Fernando Casas from Spain and the Ambassador Oddfoot from Norway. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you here, and I'm here just to talk about quickly of what CNI has been doing related to the sustainability agenda. In one side, we understand that the economy of the region is strongly sustainable by the extractivism as well, and also by the transformation industry doesn't use a lot of different natural resources from the region. And we understand that there is a huge space for our work related to the research and the development of more advanced technologies. Thus, we want to share the same vision for development of the Amazon that has been proposed by the researcher Carlos Nobre, which is known as Amazon 4.0. It consists on the construction of a fundamental economy and a more rational use of the biodiversity, of the biomass of the Amazon, focusing on the metric rates. We understand that there is a huge transformation to transform, a huge potential to transform not only the comparison but also the competitiveness of all the projection of the image of Brazil and the countryside. Thus, we are talking about areas of huge potential of return. related to the use of the artificial intelligence and also the use of the biodiversity of the Amazon. We have a huge potential to use the data, and also themes related to medication, food, cosmetics, biosynthetic, nanotechnology, engineering, and so on and so forth. These technologies are of huge potential for the innovations that are going to project the image of a sustainable Amazon and of a new economy focused on sustainability. Of course, also talking about other themes that have been mentioned by the ambassador. We have the ecotourism initiatives. Thus, we here at CNI, we are launching two main initiatives that I would like to share with all of you that are going to be connected with the Amazon Fund theme, which I would also like to cover. And the first of them is related to the launch of the Amazon Institute Plus 21, which is an institute or a non-profitable institution, which is CNI. They are launching in this exact moment throughout COP26. Next week we're going to have an official launch in Dubai through the Expo Dubai, and this institute has as the main objective to promote business, sustainable business for the region, the Amazon region. It is the answer of CNI for this sustainability agenda, understanding that we need, besides the agenda related to the preservation, to look for solutions, business solutions, in which we have the innovation and the applied perspective as a crucial point for this agenda. The institute, the Amazon Plus 21 Institute, which is being created, is an institute that is going to work basically with two main points. One side, we want to be connected to the demand for small and mid-sized companies, and also for companies that want to invest in the Amazon Fund, and also being able to get all the development for this point, high impact, and also the investments, international investment funds, and also as the Amazon as well, and banks inside this agenda. What we are proposing is to establish the standards, the ESG standards for the Amazon region, which is focused on the rules imposed by the private sector and also by the financial institutions, in which we can converge in a positive agenda. We understand that this is a work. That's a huge work that many times is getting the local businessmen not only to develop the culture for ESG on the mid-size and small-size business in the Amazon, but also to adapt their logic for governance based on the criteria of the private sector. Having said this, we will be able to translate the conciliation of funding with a sustainable business for high impact projects. So the objective is for us to connect these two worlds. And on the other side, the Amazon Plus 21 Institute proposes to have a forum, a business forum, with the participation of the private sector and also of companies that are concerned with the Amazon agenda, so that together we will be able to discuss solutions and identify what are the main challenges to motivate this agenda for sustainable business in the Amazon region. This is not a simple matter. We are already discussing with some investment funds, national funds as well as international funds, and we have huge bottlenecks for those who offer the credit in one side and also for the ones that takes the credit. We need to have credit that we have remuneration rates compatible with the Amazon. And on the other side, we need to have an adoption for the compliance points and also the issues related to the governance, which are compatible with the Amazon reality. So this is a great work that we want to put all these stakeholders inside the forum and start discussing this so that we can have this agenda, a long-term agenda. The second point for CNI related to this agenda, first, I would like to remind you that on the last 10 years, the National Industry Confederation, through the forum, which is the Business Mobilization for Innovation, has launched an initiative, a huge initiative, to frame a CNI structure innovation system. This was a huge investment that we have made here in the National Industry Confederation in the latest 10 years to structure a network that tried to develop research projects applied to cover demands for the industry in the whole country related to transversal themes and also strategic points for our industry. These institutes count on a partnership with the BNDES Bank. We have invested only in this side resources of 1.6 billion reais, and we have tried to support us in this implementation through CNI, which is a very known institution by all of you, to bring two main institutions, one from Germany and the other one, the MIT, which are really very keen related to this idea. After the launch of this business, and for us, it has been a great change, not only a cultural change, but also as a value proposal for CNI. We have been able to count with more than 1,000 projects that have been executed with local resources from companies and funds of 800 million reais. And today we have more than 1,000 researchers working on these 27 institutions throughout Brazil. Definitely, this is related to the biggest initiatives for research and development in Brazil for the last years. Even throughout the economic financial crisis, these institutes, they tried to get a connection with the Brazilian universities. They always consider the universities which are connected to these demands from the industries. Thus, we are now elaborating a new innovation institute. It's going to be a biodiversity institute focused on issues related to the agenda, the social environmental agenda and sustainability agenda of the Amazon region and also from the Center-East region. This institute possibly is going to be located here in the center region in Brasilia, with a critical mindset for the legal Amazon and also for this other side. And we are in this process. We are in a process to draw the business plan with all the identification of the actuation areas and themes such microbiology, molecular biology, IT, among other themes. And we are going to need partners. And we understand that the European Union is a critical partner and essential for this initiative. And since then, I would like to invite Norway and my peers from the European Union and from Spain, so that we can present and discuss together all the scope of this project. So I would like to put all of you that from our side, these are two important agendas. The business part, we have the Amazon Plus 21 Institute, which wants to develop this culture, the ESG culture on the companies of the Amazon region, motivating the sustainable business in one side. On the other side, in the agenda that's much more technical, focused on results, we have Senai, which is already launching this innovation and biodiversity. And to wrap up, we understand that the Amazon Fund has a crucial role in all of this, related to what it can have. It has a focus on the funding which goes beyond the themes related to the structured transformation of the Amazon, but also can have a direction for projects of a much more intensive use. This is kind of the recommendation that we want in the eventual opening and reopening of this fund, that we will have this concern to see with more emphasis projects, drivers, and IT. We understand that despite all the success of this initiative, which is the Amazon Fund, we understand that the process for the proposals and projects could be faster, and we could think about a simplification of the presentation process for the projects, besides to strengthen the communication for the different stakeholders of the Amazon region based on the potential of this fund. I believe that this group of actions is going to enhance demands for projects in the region, and also what we really want is to expand the agenda for sustainable projects in the Amazon region. I would like to thank you, and I'm available for further discussions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Frederico. It's a very rich presentation. I really like the presentation for the Amazon Institute Plus 21, that you had already had knowledge, and we have started working with the idea. But of course, this new Biodiversity Institute with Senai, which I believe is definitely going to be extremely important, to wish on behalf of the three and also the other co-workers that we want to have. We're going to accept this invitation to have the presentation of the Biodiversity Institute. That definitely is going to be a very important element. Let's now go through the last part, which is questions. Today I'm going to have many people thinking that the ambassadors, what we really like is to tell things and tell stories. We really like to make questions, because part of our work, if you don't make questions, you cannot progress this. So in this point of view, those are not my questions. Many of the questions are related to this point and can see the mindset, and I would like to invite some people to have this point. I would like to start in the same order of intervention. I would like to start talking with the ambassador of Norway, and I'm going to make a question because this question is in English. I'm going to read it in English. Embaixador da Noruega, nós tivemos muitas críticas de como a verba foi gasta, principalmente nas ONGs alinhadas com as posições radicais. Definitivamente isso deve ser evitado no futuro. Um exemplo muito bom de oportunidades que podem ser feitas. Fundação Jari, nós tivemos a chance de ouvir um pouco uma apresentação deles, mas você ainda não estava aqui. Mas a Fundação Jari tinha um projeto de 3,5 milhões para o manuseio de açaí, substituindo diesel para painéis solares. Substituição do diesel para energia solar. Isso não foi aprovado porque veio de uma fundação conectada com uma empresa privada. Você conhece isso aí? Não, obrigado, obrigado. Sim, sim, nós ouvimos essa crítica, sim, mas como eu havia dito na minha abertura, como a verba é gasta foram as decisões brasileiras. Nós entramos num acordo com o Brasil E nós não mudamos nenhuma palavra nesse acordo. Toda a utilização do fundo é baseada nas decisões brasileiras. Nós gostamos muito dessa participação de várias partes interessadas na estrutura de decisão. Então, tanto nas ONGs quanto na indústria. Então, nos projetos como esse, não nós temos nenhuma colocação. Claro, tem espaço para melhorias no fundo, mas nós acreditamos que BNDES está no website e, claro, sempre tem espaço para melhorias. Mas isso é uma decisão brasileira de como utilizar a verba. E vamos aqui para Fernando e também mantendo a mesma linha da pergunta, e também a pergunta está em inglês, mas você pode responder em inglês ou português, claro. A pergunta vem de... Foi uma pergunta que eu não identifiquei, desculpem. Essa aqui vem de Renato Pacheco. Ele é o consulado da Suíça em São Paulo. A pergunta é: como que nós podemos garantir a transparência internacional na aplicação dos recursos no Brasil? Que tipo de ferramentas nós podemos utilizar para melhorar a transparência? Muito obrigado. Eu diria que a transparência deve ser fornecida e nós temos diferentes recursos. Temos as ONGs, o governo, a academia e também nossas pesquisas das embaixadas e das organizações internacionais. Algumas vezes nós temos muitos dados disponíveis para que a gente possa passar um pente fino em tudo isso. Mas eu acho que essa transparência é uma sociedade muito aberta. E aqui em muitos outros países da América Latina, por causa desse ponto, nós temos 200 anos de independência, a sociedade civil está muito aberta, muito forte e tem muitos recursos de pesquisa. Então, particularmente, isso é aqui na sociedade brasileira. Talvez o principal desafio deveria ser ter a análise correta dos dados. Como tem muitos dados, nós precisamos de transparência aqui também. Muito obrigado, Fernando. Agora eu vou para a terceira, para o Frederico. This one I'm going to do, Frederico. You spoke a lot about this action from CNI related to international institutions in the funding world as well as research. I would like, because I know you have done things, you can explain to us how the actions were taken from CNI on the latest years to have a better explanation of Brazil outside. It's a huge challenge for us as ambassadors. We have to explain things that are happening. This is a huge country and a continental size. It has a very complex reality. So we try to perform this work. But I believe that CNI as a whole, I'm going to talk about the deforestation and this bad image that Brazil has had on the last years. And I know that from CNI you have taken all the efforts that you have presented before on your speech, but of course the efforts that we have had and how you're working to be connected on the product point of view, and the production is a country connected to the world. But of course, sometimes the relationship that we have in the institutions such as CNI and other institutions that are very similar in Europe and other countries in the world, could you please talk about the efforts of CNI, which I believe are very good to have a better understanding? Frederico, please. Thank you. Well, of course, this is a very sensitive and complex theme. But from CNI has tried to find in one side, through the partnerships, which are the chambers, the trade and industry, which are partners from CNI, they always promote bilateral meetings with the chambers, focus on the promotion for business, and in these meetings, the sustainability theme has gained more and more importance. This has been a very important theme so that the Brazilian industry can communicate for the businessmen from other countries the agenda of a Brazil that can work, a country that has the commitment with sustainable business. On the other side, we have this huge forum, which is the business mobilization for innovation. Today, we have more than 400 companies, Brazilian companies, as well as foreign companies, CEOs, that are meeting every 2 months to talk about the agenda, the innovation agenda, and also to get some increase on the private investment for innovation and partnership for players from the federal government. This is another agenda, which is the sustainability theme has gotten more points. And the entities that work and the agenda for technology, above all, the entities such as SENAI and SESI, we have tried to expand our cooperation relationship, technically speaking, for donators of traditional countries, as an example, Germany and Japan, which today are the main partners of SENAI in this agenda. And as an example, we are now having 2 projects with hydrogen, green hydrogen, with A, G, and Z, and all the resources that come from the PMZ, as well as the Environment Ministry, to motivate business that are sustainable in this agenda for the green hydrogen. We also have another agenda for the renewable and power efficiency, also with Germany. So these are some of the examples on how we are motivating and trying to promote this industry that tried to get the dialogue in the sustainability in a more broader way. Thank you very much, Frederico. It's very good to understand these experiences for cooperation and work. Our experience with the European Union is focused toward this. You're great partners in many other institutions. In fact, since I'm here in Belém, I'm going to launch this afternoon with a project called our partners is the Environmental Research Institute in Embrapa, and the Pecuary Research in the center for the international point. And in this case, the French government. I'll give you another example. As I have said, Germany and other countries, and all the work that we have talked about the European team, always to focus the efforts with all of us and all the countries of the European Union, and the bilateral communication to have all these points that is going to be done by all of us. This is going to be a very important copy with 6 million euros, and it's going to contribute for the reduction of the deforestation, especially in this state of Pará, which are in this point making use of this event in Gasglow. We are going to have this inauguration and other partners that are also working in this direction. And based on the private sector, I'm going to wrap up. We have a very strict agenda. We're going to have the great honor to have here the Vice President, Milton Mourão, at the end. So we also have a timer that's counting the seconds that I have to go to the end. So I would like to greet the private sectors in Brazil, represented today by CNI, and also the private sector from Europe. But the Euro Chamber, particularly for the chamber from Spain and Finland, which have given to us a great opportunity to be here. We also have other chambers that are represented here. I can see Sweden here, and all this collective effort. Last week, We had a visit from the representative, which was a very important moment in our relationship, Europe and Brazil. They had the opportunity to have a very good conversation with the vice president, with the President Bolsonaro, focus on the themes that we're talking about here as well, on a sustainable development in the Amazon, and the new commitment by the Brazilian government that I believe all of us are here on the stage. We had the possibility to greet the government, and of course now we need, as always, that any government, we need to have this promise to become reality. But our international community, we are prepared to help. We want to say and reinforce this commitment. I would like to really thank my colleagues here, to the Ambassador Odd and Fernando, Frederico back in CNI. It has been a very good discussion, and thank you very much. And now we will continue with a daily basis. Thank you very much.